Some vintage trucks were used and mistreated for years until they were no longer functional. They were then taken to an auto recycler and dismantled until the bare steel bones of a once rugged vehicle were all that were left. There are times when you find a rare vintage truck, and its current worth is frequently determined by how well remembered it is by everyone. 15. GMC Sierra Classic Gentleman Jim and GMC Sierra Classic Bo James. These two GMC CK pickup truck packages were simultaneously available and aimed towards affluent consumers. It was one of GM's initial efforts to produce a high-end pickup truck. Gentleman Jim had CIB headlights, wood grain interior trim, air conditioning, an AM/FM stereo with an 8-track player, a fitted tonneau cover, and gold and black paint. Bo James, on the other hand, sported wire-look hubcaps, hood ornaments and decals, velour seats and distinctive floor mats. He also came in silver and blue. The 350 Ci and 454 Ci4 BBL V8 engines were the only ones available, proving that Bo James was more than just a handsome vehicle. 14. Dodge Ram 1500 Hemi GTX. In 2004, the Hemi GTX Sport Package was unveiled to commemorate the Mopar heyday, and its most well-known engine to that point, the 426 Ci Elephant V8. Dodge commissioned it. But after placing an order with the dealers, LA west of Indiana, a third-party maker, customized it. In 2004, a mere 433 units were put into service, and a comparable number of units were added the following year. They came in every Mopar high-impact color from the early 1970s, such as banana yellow, plum crazy purple, Hemi orange, and sublime green. They also had a blacked-out cowl hood, a 20-inch American Racing Motto chrome wheel, a side hockey stick stripe, and a specially finished two-tone leather interior. The 5.7-liter Magnum V8 engine was, you guessed it, the engine. 13. Dodge D100 Spirit of 76. 40 years ago, all manufacturers celebrated America's bicentennial with limited edition trim packages. One such combination included the Dart and D100 pickup truck from Dodge. The truck's white body was covered in a plethora of red and blue stripes and decals that represented Spirit of 76. The package was limited to the least expensive trucks, meaning all of them had the Slant 6 engine. The inside featured a little more upscale design with vibrant fabric and a bench seat made entirely of vinyl that complemented the external motif. Lastly, unique fluorescent wheel covers provided the last touches. 12. Studebaker Champ. A firm based in South Bend, Indiana, was a significant producer of personal transportation in the U.S., long before the big three automakers in Detroit controlled that city. Throughout the latter part of the 19th century, Studebaker was well known for producing some of the best carriages and wagons. Prior to his assassination, Abraham Lincoln traveled in a Studebaker to Ford's Theater. Later, Studebaker produced cars for 50 years, including pickup trucks. The 1959 launch of the Studebaker Lark marked the company's transition to a more compact vehicle. It was intended to assist a faltering business that had been afflicted with several illnesses for many years. The first Studebaker Champ pickup, which was based on the small Lark, was released the next year. The truck and the vehicle were identical from the B-pillar forward, in addition to sharing the same chassis. An outdated flathead straight 6 or a Studebaker OHV V8 with up to 210 horsepower were the available engine options. There were step-side versions that gave the truck a timeless 1940s appearance, but the traditional bed models were a bit strange because the beds were broader than the cab and appeared to have been removed from a separate truck. The Dodge Sweepline pickup bed was modified by Studebaker and given the new name Space-Side Bed. By 1960, the business was nearing bankruptcy and losing a lot of money. Nearly all model production halted in 1963, and Studebaker essentially vanished from the face of the earth. Only 25,000 Champs were sold, therefore they are quite rare now. Despite being quirky little vehicles, they are nonetheless reasonably priced in the market for vintage cars. 11. Dodge Dakota Sport Convertible. When Dodge debuted the Dakota pickup in 1987, it launched a completely new car market. The Dakota entered a single segment, the mid-size truck market, and was bigger than the trucks imported from Japan, but smaller than conventional American full-size trucks. The Dakota offered available V8 power and was the ideal Goldilocks alternative to hefty American trucks and confined imports. Although sales did not start off well, the truck finally gained enough traction in the public eye to be considered a success. Dodge stirred things up with the 1989 Dakota Sport model, which defied expectations after breaking molds and producing something entirely fresh upon its release. It was the only truck ever offered in a convertible back then, and possibly still is. Dodge teamed up with American Sunroof Corporation, which created legendary limited edition vehicles like the ASC McLaren Mustang and the Buick Grand National GNX, to disassemble Dakota single-cab pickups and do what they did best: add a soft top. A roll bar that protruded from the front of the bed allowed the top to be thrown back, giving a pickup truck the feel of an actual open-top vehicle. Standard features included a 3.9-liter V6 engine, unique rocker panel stripes, and Dakota Sport lettering on the doors. On its face, the notion appeared appealing and cool. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and after just 3 years the option was withdrawn. Just 4 have been sold on Bring a Trailer in the last 2 years, but at just over $10,000 apiece, they were at least reasonably priced. 10. Dodge Lil Red Express Truck. While the Chevrolet 454 SS is often credited as the first sports truck, its inspiration may have come from a Dodge model in the 1970s called the Dodge Lil Red Express Truck. When the factory-built custom Dodge D150 Adventurer pickup went on sale in 1978, it introduced a novel idea to the market. It was painted a bright red and comes with a Utiline step-side cargo bed. The tailboard and side of the bed were adorned with faux wood panel accents, and the chrome dip on the steel slotted wheels, which were wider at the back, was applied to the wheels. The most ridiculous part was that the exhaust was directed into 2 large smokestacks resembling big rigs located behind the cab. If the smokestacks weren't enough to make this truck stand out in a crowd, large, intricate decals with the phrase Lil Red Express Truck in vintage lettering and flourishes were applied to the tailboard and doors. There was no mistaking this truck. Even though everything from the era performed worse, trucks were still exempt from pollution regulations, so Dodge was able to install a 360 V8 from its police package that produced 225 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. For the time, this was the best available. Thus, customers were likely to take advantage of all power they could. Demand swiftly surpassed supply, making it difficult for Dodge to fulfill orders. A total of roughly 7,000 trucks were constructed when the single-year model was extended into 1979, making them unusual and desirable today. The majority of the 7 currently listed vehicles on AutoTrader are listed for over $30,000. 9. Dodge Ram SRT-10 Night Runner. Dodge chose to create the Dodge Ram SRT-10 Night Runner, an even more exclusive variant of the already rare Dodge Ram SRT truck. The color pattern was the most noticeable distinction between the Night Runner and regular SRT. Nearly all surfaces aboard the Night Runner were coated in black paint. The PVO, Performance Vehicle Operations Division of Daimler Chrysler, used engineers from the Dodge Viper and Plymouth Prowler to design the Dodge Ram SRT. The Ram SRT-10's exterior was designed through extensive wind tunnel testing. Dodge has fitted a Viper engine into a Ram truck for the second time. A concept, Dodge Ram with a Viper Generation 2 engine, was unveiled by Dodge at the 1996 Chicago Auto Show. However, it was never put into production. The Dodge Ram VTS had a 6-speed manual gearbox, 17-inch, 432 millimeters. Viper GTS rims wrapped in BF Goodrich 275/60 HR17 Comp TA HR4 tires, and an 8-liter 488 CID V10 engine. It was painted bonsai blue with dual white skunk stripes. 8. Ford Bigfoot Cruiser. In the 1980s, Bigfoot was a big issue. This was particularly true for Ford truck enthusiasts, as during the years that Bigfoot dominated the show and crush circuit of the sport they both helped popularize, Bob Chandler's monster truck was arguably the most well-known pickup in the world. It was only logical for Ford to want to take advantage of the Bigfoot frenzy to the fullest. Although F-Series truck sales didn't require a boost, they were already well on their way to being the most popular car in North America. It couldn't hurt to transfer some of that monster truck glamour to a Bigfoot product that is officially licensed and available at dealerships around the nation. That reasoning gave rise to the Bigfoot Cruiser. a tribute to the world's strongest truck that you can park in your driveway. Due to several problems during its brief manufacturing run, the Cruiser is currently one of the rarest and least well-known special edition antique cars available. Ford introduced the Bigfoot Cruiser Options Package in 1987. Scherer Truck Equipment assembled it on the automaker's behalf. This car has an automated gearbox and a 7.5-liter EFI engine. Its interior features include factory floor mats, wood grain dashboard, tilt steering column, leather-wrapped steering wheel, power windows, power door locks, AM/FM radio cassette, and blue cloth upholstery. There are also some collector's items inside. Among the added features are running lights above double roll bars with stylish logo coverings. One special characteristic is the way the back window slides down. Stickers on the sides are a wonderful touch on the original. Right below the doors is where the rocker panels belong. The Bigfoot Cruiser is an intimidating vehicle on the road with 460 horsepower. Among the standard amenities are air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, and twin fuel tanks. 7. Dodge D100 The Dude. Long before adult toys, with their vibrant array of limited edition cars, the Dude was around. Its official name, the Dude Sport Trim Package, debuted at the conclusion of the second generation of the Dodge D series. The Dude, which came with the 383 Ci V8, was essentially the forerunner of pickups with a focus on performance. Its distinctive badging on the back of the box, its all-over C-stripe design in either white or black, and the dog dish hubcaps with trim rings could have helped you identify it. Additionally, the Dude was painted on Fargo trucks that were sold as Dodge knockoffs in Canada. Only Chrysler Plymouth dealers offered these. In contrast, Dodge DeSoto dealers in Canada sold Dodges, same as they did in the US. There aren't many Dudes left in the world now. Only 1,500 to 2,000 were made. 30 years after the final D100-based Dude truck was produced, Dodge considered bringing the Dude back, although this time it was built on the Durango platform. The plan was to convert the Durango SUV into a pickup truck by removing its rear end and turning it into a hot rod street vehicle. It was 2004. The Skunk Works, a group of devoted car fans and crackerjacks from the Chrysler Group, were tasked by Dodge with bringing the Dude back to life. 6. Ford F-150 Night. The Night Special Edition was a monochromatic option package that was sold from 1991 to 1992 on the Ford F-150 XLT Lariat. It included black paint and trim with a multicolored accent stripe. It was limited to the regular cab F-150 in 1991. It was made available on all F-150 body models and debuted on the Ford Bronco in 1992. The Night Edition came with a sport suspension, alloy wheels with white letter tires measuring 235/75 R15, and a choice of 2- or 4-wheel drive with either a 5.0L or 5.8L V8 engine. The Night package was exclusive to the Ford half-ton pickup truck and was offered only in 1991 and 1992. You also might have had the Bronco with the bundle if you had ordered a brand new one. It was exclusive to the F-150 XLT Lariat level though. Furthermore, Night switched to all other configurations in 1992, whereas only conventional cabs operated in 1991. While the package was compatible with both 2WD and 4WD, only 302 Ci 5-liter V8 and 351 Ci 5.8-liter V8 were taken into account for the powertrain. In other words, for the most part, Night was an appearance package. However, it did have a sport suspension. Aside from that, its unique body-side multicolored tape stripes, forged aluminum wheels, white letter tires, and raven black paint job could have helped you identify it. The inside was available in crystal blue, scarlet red, or dark charcoal. 5. GMC Sierra California Sundancer. As its name implies, California Sundancer was a regional exclusive that was exclusively offered in Southern California. That's most likely the primary cause of its obscurity. Although the roll bar was included, the special edition pickup truck was not intended for the Southern California sport truck market. It was more of a 4x4 vehicle than a true sport truck, but it was still 87. All others were painted bright yellow, with gunmetal gray lower trim and two-tone blue pinstripes. They also had BF Goodrich radials on 15x7 Mag Sprinter Western wheels, a sunroof, Bilstein gas pressure shock absorbers, and Smitty-built tubular steel bumpers. But good luck today finding one undamaged. 4. Chevrolet K10. The California Sundancer is essentially the reverse of this K10 Chevrolet. Its production quantities appear to be among the lowest of all special editions, and it was available in northern states and other wintry places. They all seem to be painted crimson, with a black lower treatment and a golden stripe. Within the automobile industry, the Chevrolet K10 pickup truck has left a lasting impression, representing toughness, versatility, and American creativity. The K10 has experienced numerous changes over the years, as it has adapted to the demands of its customers and the changing circumstances. The Chevrolet CK series, which stood for two-wheel drive, C, and four-wheel drive, K cars, saw the introduction of the Chevrolet K10 in 1960. When the half-ton four-wheel drive K10 pickup truck was first released, it was designed with off-road versatility and capabilities in mind. The K10's strong build and tough drivetrain attracted notice right away, laying the groundwork for its success in the future. Early K10 designs were based on the boxy style that was prevalent in the truck industry. But as time went on, Chevrolet made changes to maintain the K10's attractive appearance. Notably, the K10 was given a makeover in 1967 that included a redesigned grille and a more rounded body, which cemented its status as a fashionable yet practical truck. 3. Chevrolet C10 Big 10. GMC Heavy Half and Chevy Big 10 were GM's response to the despised catalytic converter. Essentially, these were standard half-ton vehicles, but to get around the emissions laws, they were sold as heavy-duty pickups. Recall that Big 10 weighed 6,200 pounds. Therefore, it was exempt from the stringent pollution regulations that applied to all vehicles weighing 6,000 pounds or less. GM also produced one that weighed 6,050 pounds in the middle of the 1975 model year. This one eventually took the place of the standard C10 with 6,000 GVWR. The minimum needed for it was a 350 Ci V8, although the most common option was a 454 Ci V8. A 454 Ci Chevy C10 Big 10 could have nearly outperformed a Corvette in 1975. It took 8.9 seconds to go from 0 to 60, whereas the 350 Ci equipped Vet took 8.1 seconds. 2. 1979 GMC Sierra Classic. Even though it was among the most dependable vehicles that GMC has ever produced, the 1979 Sierra Classic wasn't without its share of issues. The square-body truck, which was a member of the third-generation CK models, wasn't the best-selling vehicle, but it was well known for being a workhorse on the job and in the fields. It worked extremely hard, as trucks seem to do, but it had to get through some difficult terrain along the way, just like any decent 4x4 truck. The 1979 GMC Sierra belonged to General Motors' third generation of CK trucks, which were manufactured from 1973 and 1991. Although the square-body truck was tough, many Americans used it for personal transportation as well. It was among the first trucks with a diesel engine specifically designed for it. Unexpected facts regarding the 1979 GMC Classic can be found. There were 4 trim levels available: Sierra, Sierra Grande, High Sierra, and Sierra Classic. The Classic was one of them. The Classic trim, which was available in wide-side or fender-side configurations and included a few amusing design packages along the way, was regarded as the highest trim level back in the late 1970s. Even though Ford dominated the half-ton truck market, GM nevertheless had a successful year in 1979. An automaker may benefit from being the underdog occasionally since it forces them to put in extra effort to stand out in a crowded field. That occurred in the late 1970s as GM made an effort to erode the rising population's inclination towards smaller imports and away from larger vehicles. 1. Dodge Jean Machine. Need more evidence that automakers in the 1970s could turn nearly any concept into a limited edition vehicle? The Dodge Jean Machine, a pickup that honored the presence of denim, is the perfect place to start. Given that truck customers at the time were typically stereotyped as wearing blue jeans and collars, we can sort of understand where Dodge was coming from. In addition to adding lovely denim upholstery to the seats, Mopar stylists opted to honor the Canadian tuxedo by adorning the blue-hued D100 with a full-wrap set of orange stitch decals that give the appearance of having just been taken out of a sewing machine. It was reminiscent of the shouted-out fashions of the day, which emphasized the street presence of vivid orange against a soft blue. When you add the Jean Machine decal to the sides and tailboard, you have a striking contender for one of the strangest textile tie-ins in sports car history. But as we'll see, Dodge wasn't the only one to dream of Giannieri.